What's up, party people? We're back. Quick book haul. New stuff, not used, so a bit different. And then I didn't finish reading anything, so I have a short story for you. Some O'Connor. So hopefully that interests you. Yeah, so a few weeks ago it was my birthday, and I don't really like to buy new books. Used books are cheaper. They have more character. I like them better. But I got this Indigo gift card, which means I have to buy a new book, and which is actually okay because there are some on my to-buy list that I cannot find used, or are harder to find used, and so I don't mind ordering new now and again. So the first of these is The Faithful Executioner. Now, I've never seen this in a used bookstore because I think it's a bit newer. I'm not sure, when was this published? Not like super recently, but semi-recently. Yeah, okay, 2013, 2014. So it's conceivable that you could find this in a used bookstore, but I haven't seen it. So anyways, I'm looking forward to reading this. It's about, well, it's not about this. The backstory of the book is that this historian was, doing historian things, digging around in an old bookshop in Germany, and he found a new historical artifact, which is a journal of a 16th century executioner, and it kind of gives it just a direct look into this guy's life. And of course, we tend to vilify executioners as like some sort of terrible, faceless monster. But in reality, the journal kind of reveals him to be someone quite sensible who makes a solid defense of how he conceives of his profession in regards to God and justice and things like this. At least that's my impression of the book after reading the back cover. So yeah, this is going to be super interesting. Now, I think the author, who is the discoverer of the manuscript, he kind of fictionalizes it a little bit. So he bases the book off of the journal. It's not that he didn't just directly translate the journal. So it's a bit more readable to like a modern audience. So yeah, this should be very good. Next up, we got C.S. Lewis, The Discarded Image. Now, this is probably much easier to find in a thrift store. I have never seen it. I don't know why. I mean, I've seen lots of C.S. Lewis, just never this one in particular. And if I could go back and not order this, I would, because what they sent me in the mail, this is, what is this? It's like some new publication. It's gross. I don't like it. Some like gloss cover. It's not. I don't like it. Okay. Like here I have tons of like good C.S. Lewis bindings. Like here, the Problem of Pain. Look at this. This is beautiful. It's got like a kind of cracking around the spine. The cover design is beautiful. It's got this nice flop to it. It's small. It fits in the hand. It's not too heavy. See if I can find another one here. This one, The Four Loves. Again, very nice. My copy of The Abolition of Man is very clean. Yeah, a lot of the Lewis I have is like older, and I like it. But this one is ugly. Anyways, the content is not ugly. It's Lewis's last book, and it's a series of lectures he gave, and it details the intricacies and the beauty of the medieval worldview, and how these people were not stupid, dirty peasants, but in fact had a very complex and kind of true look at how the world is, and of course God, and so their theology and is all very integrated into this worldview. And he argues that it's kind of like a shame that it was lost. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this. Although sadly, out of this edition, it's heavy and glossed, and the text is big, and it's, yeah. Anyways, enough hating on the book. Lastly but not leastly, what I ordered was this copy of Edmund Burke's Reflections on the Revolution in France. Now, I was inspired to buy this by watching some documentaries on the French Revolution. I think I mentioned this in a previous video. When you learn about the French Revolution in school, they teach you that the French Revolution was a bunch of martyrs, basically, for freedom and liberty, and that they were fighting against this older monarchical religious institution that's backwards and they were kind of, you know, seen as heroes. After watching this documentary on the French Revolution, I realized that it's quite the opposite, and that the people that were perpetrating, and that's the correct word, the French Revolution, were in fact a bunch of filthy revolutionaries that were inspired by just, yeah, I don't even know how to say it. It was just a bad endeavor all around. So they were not fighting for liberty. In fact, I think monarchy is a much better form of government for humans. And I don't know, if you ask people like, oh, when's the point in history when things started going downhill? I think I would point to the French Revolution. Of course, other than the fall of man in the garden. But yeah, I mean, I kind of have the same quibbles with this edition though as I do with the Lewis book. It's glossy and heavy, and the print is big. Like, what is this new trend in publishing books? We want our small, soft, floppy soft covers back. Bring those back. So I don't know what the deal is, but anyways, hopefully, yeah, I don't know. It'll last a long time. Like, I can tell that the spine is well bound, but yeah. Anyways, I'm looking forward to reading this too. This is a lot longer than I thought. I thought like this was like Burke's reflections were a bit like kind of like Marcus Aurelius's meditations, kind of like just kind of slapped together and kind of short. But no, I think this is like a fully like put together treatise. Like it has like structure to it, and it is intended to be, yeah, like it's long. So yeah, was not expecting that, but that should be a good read as well. And so those are the only 3 I bought this week. I've got a couple more stacks down here that I'll reveal in the upcoming weeks. So always more books to see, of course. But until then, I just wanted to talk about the Flannery O'Connor short story I read this week. I'm working on reading Chesterton's The Everlasting Man, and the book club just started doing Charles Dickens's Great Expectations. So that's what's coming, although, of course, things always are much slower of a read with the book club, but no problem. Better late than never. So here's the O'Connor edition that I have. Now this actually, funny enough, I think I bought this with a gift card for my last birthday. So this was also bought new. Fun, yeah, so what a odd connection. What are the chances, right, that I would start reading it on the same week that I, you know, show you those previous books. So anyways, I read the first book in this compilation, which is arranged chronologically. So it's Flannery's first story, and that's the Geranium. And I read the introduction on her. Pretty interesting. She was a devout Catholic, lived in the South, kind of a quiet girl. Like all good artists, she was a bit, what's the word, odd? Or idiosyncratic is a better word to use. She kept peacocks, hence the cover. That's a pretty unique hobby. She also had lupus, and I think that ended up causing her illness at the age of 39 that killed her. So, like all good artists, she died young. Not quite part of the 27 Club, but pretty close. So yeah, the Geranium. It's about this old guy named Old Dudley, and he's living somewhere in the country. I don't know, I forget where it was mentioning. Lives somewhere in the country. Upstairs on the middle floor, there's a bunch of old ladies who I take to be either widowed or spinsters, I'm not sure. And then in the basement, there's a black couple. And his sister, his daughter, feels a sense of duty towards him to take care of her dad, and so moves him forcibly up to her apartment in New York. And Old Dudley is a southern, or seemingly a southern guy. Like, he kind of cavalier, independent, doesn't really want to be stuck in an apartment with his daughter, right? And his daughter doesn't really love him. That's quite clear throughout the short story. It's rather that she feels a sense of familial tie and duty to her father, and that's why she brought him up to New York. And the story is just kind of about old Dudley trying to adjust to this new life, and the adage rings true, very very true in this story, that old dogs don't learn new tricks. He has a very tough time adjusting, and kind of through his reflections, we get a look back into his old life. He used to hang out with the black guy that lived in the basement named Rabby or Raby, I don't know how you say it. They used to go hunting together. And there's a little bit of dynamic between like white-black tensions. I mean, this is set, I think, in like early 1900s. So there's a bit of like implicit racism in the story. But I think that would be a misreading of the short story to focus on that too much. But anyways, I think rather the race stuff is more so in service to the contrast between his old and new life, and how old Dudley really is, as his name suggests, old, and he cannot keep up with the changes in society. One thing that is made clear. Sorry, my phone's buzzing. One thing that happens in the story that makes this lack of ability to adapt clear is his encountering a new black guy that lives, or is moving in next door to his daughter, and this man is a far cry from Rabby that he used to hang out with, because Rabby was more so like a servant, and that's how old Dudley thinks of black people, as if they're servants. And so but old Dudley is not that simple of a character, right? He thinks of them that way, but also he doesn't, because Rabby was like his best friend, and he would go hunting with him all the time, and they'd talk, and they'd always do projects together, and they were friends. And when this new black guy moves in next door and helps him up the stairs, he can't even look him in the face. This is like a younger, like professional suit and tie black guy, not at all like the servant Rabby, who like speaks in like a broken Southern African American. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, he doesn't say words fully. There's a word for that. I just forget what it is. But this new black man that moves in next door, he's a professional, right? He's making his way of the American dream, just like his daughter, and that kind of shocks him a little bit, right? Because he's like, well, I didn't raise my daughter that way, to live next door to a black guy. But it's kind of in tension with the fact that he was friends with Rabby, right? So that's one way. The contrast between the black neighbor and his friend back home is a way that shows that he's not really quite adjusting well. And he also has nothing to do. Back home, he was doing projects and hunting and fishing all the time. And in New York, he has nothing to do. He has no friends. Like, his daughter doesn't really hang out with him much. She drags him along to shops sometimes, but he doesn't like it. He gets sick on the train, and he feels trapped, right? Because he used to live in the country where you can see the horizon, and now he's stuck in these long like hallways and roads where like the apartment buildings rise up on either side, and he thinks it looks like a dog run. Like, he feels claustrophobic. The title of the book is in regards to the neighbors. They live on like the third or fifth or fourth floor, I don't know. And the neighbor across the street from them has a geranium in a pot that they put out every day and bring back in. And they bring it out every day at the same time, 10:15 or something like that. And on the day that the story is set, it doesn't come out. And I was thinking a little bit like what the geranium is supposed to represent. And yeah, I don't think it has to do with him losing his mind, right? Of course, he's old, but I don't think there's any indication that he's like has dementia or anything like that. Of course, he remembers a lot about his old life, and he remembers he's sharp, right? He can still do tasks for his daughter. She asks him to go downstairs and get something from somebody he doesn't know, and he figures it out. And he remembers at 10:15 the geranium comes out. Like, he's quite observant and sharp, I think. But rather, instead of the geranium symbolizing his mind, I think it has to do somewhat with the old ways, right? Because at the end of the story, the geranium falls out of the window and breaks, and old Dudley is tempted to go pick it up. He wants to go restore it and put it on his own window, but he doesn't have the strength. And so I think that, yeah, the geranium is potentially, again, I'm maybe not the best to interpret. I just read it. I didn't really think too much about it, but it seems like the geranium would be representative of the old ways of living. And of course, as his neighbor calls him, Old Dudley is an old timer. He believes truly in the ways that he was raised, and yeah. So, anyways, Flannery O'Connor, she wrote, that was her first story. She wrote it at like 20 or 21. Incredible. It's great writing. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. And if the rest of the stories in here are anything like that first one, it's gonna be awesome. So yeah, I think this book has 16 of her short stories. So yeah, it's gonna be sweet. Anyways, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I'll be back next week with more books to show off, and hopefully I finish reading Chesterton. I don't think I will. I think that'll be 2 weeks from now. But if I don't, I'll have another short story for you. So that's it. See you next week.